What is going on, everybody? Voodoo51292 here, and welcome to my third ever edition of Packin' for Home, and this will be the winter of 2012 version. Third time I'm doing this, and just a brief introduction if you're not familiar with my Packin' for Home series. Basically, it's that time of year again when the semester is over, and I'm packing up my belongings, clothes, all that kind of good stuff, to take home for semester break. And I usually use this opportunity twice a year, once in the spring and once in the winter, to kind of not necessarily film myself packing stuff up because it's kind of boring, but me to kind of speak off the cuff and talk freelance about certain things that are going on, about, you know, whether it's video games or my YouTube channel or with me personally or really just anything. It's an opportunity for me to just kind of vent and keep myself occupied while I'm packing up stuff and talking to you guys. And people generally seem to like when I do this kind of thing. So today is actually Saturday, December 8th. I took my final exam today, and I had meant to pack earlier in the week, a couple days ago, so I could just get out of here today, but I've been so busy studying I haven't had an opportunity to pack until just now. So I apologize for the delay, but I'm going to pack now, and then I'll be leaving to go home tonight. So without further ado, I guess we'll get started, and I'm going to start folding some clothes here, which is typically what I usually start with when I'm packing. So, okay, so since this is the winter of 2012 edition, it's basically close to year's end, and that means that I want to discuss and talk about some things, you know, recapping the year as a whole, with various aspects like video gaming, my YouTube channel, all that kind of good stuff, I guess, to start with, you know, and just kind of go from there. So I guess the first thing that I should talk about is my YouTube channel and how it's been during this past year, what kind of stuff actually happened during this year, and you know, kind of do like a retrospective. And certainly a lot of things happened this year, basically my second full year on YouTube. And more or less, the core of my channel remained pretty much the same as it had last year in 2011, as far as what I was doing, which was basically just, you know, playing a lot of games, filming games, and, you know, uploading full playthroughs. And unfortunately, I kind of had aspirations of picking up in 2012 where I left off in 2011, you know, because 2011 was a pretty good year for games, for one, and for my channel, because I was playing through a lot of games, I was getting through a lot of games, I was uploading them at a pretty good clip, and, you know, I felt really good about 2011, and it ended with Gaming Palooza, which started off this year actually, where I played a whole bunch of really good games like Assassin's Creed Revelations and Batman Arkham City, and all that kind of good stuff. And I finished my Dead Island co-op playthrough with Brandon, and did all that kind of stuff, and it was a really good year. And I had, you know, hopes and anticipations that this year would be, you know, a lot of the same. Unfortunately, it's not really the way it worked out in 2012. And if you followed me this year, you'll notice that my channel definitely wasn't running as smoothly as it did in 2011. Meaning, I wasn't just pumping through games, getting them up on YouTube with no problems, and, you know, going from there. It started out pretty well in 2012. We were playing a couple really good games like The Darkness 2, for instance, and I was uploading those, you know, pretty regularly. At the time, I lived in my previous apartment, and our internet there was pretty decent. And I had my old PC then, my old PC laptop, and I would basically just film, and then I would set my computer up overnight to upload on the charger. And it worked out well, and I was able to get stuff up. Unfortunately, at that point, we ran into a spell with some really bad games, and you know, it took me a while to get through some of these games because they were really bad, and a lot of them I wound up quitting on, like Twisted Metal, like Syndicate. I quit on a lot of these games because they were so bad, and I didn't get them done, and it was a mess. Then we went into the summer, and going into summer I was behind a little bit on some games, because school had kind of taken its toll at that point. I had had finals week in May, and I was a little backed up, but I was able to finish, eventually, Max Payne 3, and I also did Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier, which I enjoyed Max Payne 3 quite a bit. Tom Clancy, not so much. I didn't actually ever play the multiplayer for that game because it was one of those that required a code, and I didn't want to spend $10 on the code, so I never actually played the multiplayer, and therefore I never did a review of the game. But I didn't really like it very much. I thought it was okay, but I thought it was really annoying at parts, and I really just didn't like it that much. And over the summer, the channel was almost non-existent from a gameplay standpoint because, you know, I had work last summer that really took a toll on me. I worked at a veterinary clinic, just checking my time, and I really underestimated just how many hours a week I'd be working, because oftentimes I would be working, you know, between 30 and 40 hours a week, and I also underestimated the, you know, the physical toll that job took as a vet tech, and it really took a lot out of me to the point where most of the time I just didn't have the energy to do any playthroughs. I would come home from work and I would be so dead, you know, especially when I had to work those 11-hour shifts from 7 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock at night straight. I would come home and just be dead. Like there was no way I was going to do a playthrough. I just needed to go to bed. And even sometimes the day, you know, the day between jobs, or between my off days basically, between when I worked, even then a lot of times I didn't have the energy to do anything because I was using that day to rest from the previous few days and prepare myself to go back to work the next day or whatever. So a lot of times I was not able to do playthroughs during the summer, and then the fall and winter came around when I came back to school, and we started playing a lot of games. We started playing, you know, Darksiders 2, we started doing Borderlands 2, and all kinds of stuff, Resident Evil 6, and I've never been able to finish any of them because they were all extraordinarily long games, and with school and football season and all that other kind of good stuff, I just didn't have the time between games to finish them all. So basically this year, at the end of this year, beginning of next year, I'm doing another, you know, I'm not calling it Gaming Palooza this year, but it's basically the same kind of deal as last year, where I'm going to be sitting down and doing runs of a lot of these games that I wasn't able to finish this year. So, you know, and of course uploading here has been a problem, because there was a time where I was thinking of, you know, almost stopping gameplay footage, because the internet here at this apartment is atrocious. It's actually worse than my internet at home, if you can believe that, as far as upload speed, and it just wasn't happening until I found out that the school's internet had amazingly fast upload speed, and I could do that on certain days during the week. I could upload at school. Unfortunately, a lot of times it, you know, was based on the school's internet, and sometimes it was working very well. Other times, like the past couple weeks, it's been really slow and I haven't been able to upload anything. So it's been kind of a mess at the end of this year, but you know, also because I have a new computer, and I do not want to leave it on the charger all the time because I don't want the battery to drain like my old computer. I can't just, you know, I can't just leave the computer on the charger overnight and upload stuff, because I don't want to leave the computer sitting on the charger overnight and drain the battery. So, you know, it's been kind of a mess from that standpoint. So this year, for gameplay, wasn't the smoothest ever, but we did a lot more than just gameplay this year. We branched out and did a couple things. Probably most notably was Voodoo's Brew, which was the podcast show that Brandon and I started. I believe we started it this year in 2012. Excuse me, 2012. And I could be wrong. I might have started at the end of 2011. But it had definitely its prime this year, and we did, I believe, 9 or 10 episodes, and the last one we did was our gigantic E3 2012 wrap-up show, which was like 2.5 hours long, where it was Brandon and I, you know, just talking about the major press conferences at E3, and it was a really good show, and it had a lot of views, and people really seemed to like it, and the show really did well. A lot better than I think we thought it would do. It pulled in, you know, a pretty standard, you know, a couple hundred views per episode, which for my channel is a lot, and it was probably the most successful thing that I've done on this channel by far. So I was pretty excited about that, and Brandon was too, and you know, the show is going well, and unfortunately, over the course of this year, how did this happen? There we go. Over the course of this year, Brandon and I just kind of drifted apart. To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, Brandon started college this semester, and so because of that, he was very busy, you know, prepping and doing all that kind of good stuff. And during the summer, I was working and, you know, working my tail off, really not doing much on YouTube. And because of that, we just kind of lost contact. We just, you know how those things go. Just over time, eventually we just kind of stopped talking. And it's basically gone to the point now where we don't talk anymore. Not because we don't like each other, but just because we've gone our separate ways, I guess. You know, he's busy doing his thing, and I guess I'm busy doing mine, and unfortunately that's just sometimes how it happens, especially when, you know, the friendship is really long distance like that, and you never actually meet the person face to face or anything like, or in person, not, I shouldn't say face to face, but in person. You know, sometimes that stuff just happens, and because of that, obviously Voodoo's Brew was discontinued. You know, because we don't really talk too much anymore, which is a shame, but it is what it is, and you know, it was fun. I mean, I had a lot of fun doing stuff with Brandon, playing games, doing Dead Island, doing Voodoo's Brew. We had a lot of fun. But it just seems now that we've kind of moved apart, and it's kind of, you know, c'est la vie, it is what it is, and, you know, certainly we're not upset with each other or anything like that, and I wish him the best of luck. It's just one of those things. So I actually need to go get the last few bit of clothes and my suitcase and start packing this stuff in, and the video's getting to about that time, so I will be right back.